What's going on, guys? Logan JYA Drytron back at it again with a fresh new Drytron video, and today we're going to be taking a look at a very unique type of FTK that the deck is going to be able to pull off in the near future. Now, mind you, you are able to do this FTK currently today. In fact, we've covered it on the channel in the past, but we've got a brand new enabler that makes the world one of the most powerful FTKs that Drytron has access to, and it does it in a very unique way. And it's just a 2-card combo, as simple as can be. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it. I'm going to show you a template build. I'll have it in the description down below. One thing before we get into it, you guys have been killing it with the Drytron Field Center. So if you guys haven't had the chance to get your hands on them yet, link in the description down below. I've only got a few of these left of the first ever printing. We may very well do some more in the future with different designs, but this is going to be the only time we're selling the OG Medionis Drytron Field Center. So check it out. Link in the description down below. We've only got a few of these left, so grab them while you still can. Without further ado, let's dive into the video. Alright, my friends, so before we get into the combo, gotta talk about the card that makes this all possible. And this card was announced back in May, so a little bit while ago. We've had the possibility of doing this, but we have no clear timeline as to when we're actually going to get this card released in the TCG. But when we do, we're all going to be ready to try out this brand new FTK. And there's a lot of upsides to this one. I'll talk about it when we go through the combo. But this is the card, Arcana Force the Fiend, alright? So I mentioned earlier how the world, Arcana Force the World, is our main enabler for doing the FTK. It's a new form of turn skip that doesn't even let your opponent enter the draw phase. It does nothing. The card literally says skip your opponent's turn. And the thing that makes it work really, really well is this new piece of support card, the Wild Side with the Arcana Force the Fiend. So this was announced in the Animation Chronicles pack, and I'm going to talk about that in a second because, again, we don't know when this is coming out in TCG. But all you need to know about this card is that it's a light fairy, searchable off Ben 10, free money. And what you can do with it is you can discard it, add one light barrier from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So you're going to see what light barrier does if you're unfamiliar with it as we go through the combo tutorial. But basically, it just means, for the sakes of our intents and purposes, your opponent doesn't get a turn. But like I was saying earlier, this came out in the Animation Chronicle pack in Japan. So we've already seen some of these support cards, I believe, come over here into the TCG, or at least we know when they're coming out. We don't know when this card in particular is coming out. So it could be in a Battles of Legends set, it could be in the Megatins. Lord knows. We don't know when it's going to come out. But when it does, we're going to be ready. Let me show you guys this combo tutorial. Alright, homies, time to show you the play-by-play for how we do this brand new FTK. Now, the new FTK is kind of an old FTK, right? Because you actually are able to do this one right now. It's just a little bit more susceptible to hand traps with how you properly set it up. With this build and their new friend, our enabler, the Fiend, it gets as simple as possible. It's like we took it from a manual transmission to an automatic transmission. It just got that much simpler, and you're going to see as we kind of go through this combo tutorial. We're doing it vanilla style, alpha, zeta. You can do it with a variety of different hands. Basically, once you see how the pieces align here, you're going to understand what you need to do. It's pretty darn simple. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Obviously, the first thing you're going to do is use that alpha pitch zeta. You're going to grab yourself Ben 10, and then zeta pitch Ben 10, grabbing Medionis. Off your Ben 10 here, you're immediately going to go for the Fiend. Now, we didn't talk about it earlier, but the Fiend grabs the light barrier, and the light barrier is your main enabler for the world, right? It's going to be what guarantees that you get to skip that turn. You don't want to take any risks here. So after that, we go Moy Beta. Moy Beta is going to sing Gamma. Medionis, we're going to summon back that Ben 10. We're going to tribute it for Gamma, summon back another name, and Gamma here, immediately add the world. Look at that, bro. So basically, the name of the game with this particular combo is simplicity. We grab our essential pieces early on. We're not jumping through hoops here. And let's just say, for example, we're opening things like Preparational Rites or hard-drawn copies of Ben 10, things of that nature. We can grab these pieces earlier, or we can choose to play it safe by grabbing things like Orange Light if we have hard-drawn fairies in hand. All things to keep in mind. Now, going on from here, we go Medionis for the second time, bring back the Ben 10, use the world, the Force to get the light barrier, and then tribute for the world. So the cool thing about this, right, if you haven't heard of the world, it's understandable. It's an obscure card, but the thing that makes this one crazy, just like the Fiend itself, it's a light fairy, which means we can search it, and then we can tribute summon for it. Just requires any 2 tributes. And we slap this guy onto the field, and after we get our free access to the light barrier, we guarantee its good effect, the heads effect. And what this card says it does, literally, I kid you not, skip the opponent's turn. Now, mind you, Drytron already has a turn skip, right? We got Amor Factor Pain, right? That gives the opponent a draw phase, a standby phase, and an end phase. In this version of the turn skip, your opponent immediately, like, they don't even get anything. It's like a... You can send the 2 extra bodies you have on the field. You can get a guaranteed follow-up off the Ben 10, and that follow-up secures the kill because you've got a stacked graveyard full of Drytron names, which means you just kind of run it back, slap them on the field if you wanted to. You could also just keep a Drytron name on field instead of the world. It can send itself, right? So you keep a Drytron name, that's also guaranteed follow-up. It makes no darn difference. Whichever way you want to do it, your mission is going to be successful. With that being said, this is the new FTK when it comes to Drytron. Again, we don't know when the new Fiend is going to be coming out, but when it does, you guys should have this combo in the back of your mind. And I'll talk about why as we go through the deck profile, especially when it comes to the prevalence of these FTK-type variants, because Drytron has many different FTKs and very easy, consistent access to them. It just depends on the type of format. So without further ado, let's show you guys the template and talk about that a little bit more. Alright, homies, so I'm going to speed run through this template real quick. I will have a link to download it in the description down below if you want to give it a shot. Check it out there. If you want to test with some friends and see the consistency of this, you're going to be blown away. But, of course, without further ado, I'm literally going to run through it. You see our name line up here. We're doing standard 10 name ratio. Alpha and Zeta are your bread and butter. We've actually got plenty of copies of them down here as well. With the emergencies, with the Fafnirs, with the Novas, you've got no lack of access for your main names. You could even take it a step further and play more of them. But I choose to beef up access to Ben 10 just because it enables the FTK a little bit easier and lets us leverage things like those orange lights. So we have the Diviner in here as a going second option or as a fallback plan. Say there is no way in heck you're able to play without normal summoning Diviner. Say it's like a one-name hand situation. You can instead pivot to try and set up Draconids plus Apollosa. So we're kind of playing this as pretty vanilla Drytron. I didn't want to put in too many backup plans into this particular build just because I want to keep the main focus on our boy Arcana for us. But since it's just a template, feel free to adapt as you see necessary. So we play both one copy of the World and one copy of the Fiend. There's no need to jack up copies of the Fiend. You're only going to be resolving its effect once for the one copy of the Light Barrier. It's all you're going to need it for. Our standard ratio for rituals, triple Ben 10, Natasha, and Draconids, keeping it super duper simple. No Chaos Max. If you want to play that as a backup plan, be my guest. You absolutely can. But in this situation, choosing not to. Got the one Call By, one Foolish, triple Emergency, double Fafnir, double Nova. You could obviously swap these ratios, wouldn't be a big deal. We've got the Medionis Drytron, just the one copy, need not play more. Triple copies of Prep. So here's the logic behind this, right? The easier access we have to early Ben 10 searches, the easier it is for us to line up our Arcana Force cards, right? So that means even if we get Ash on something like Alpha, we need not care. If we still have names to play with, we're still going to be able to get to that end board and FTK the opponent. So that's why I really wanted to max out Ben 10 access. Now for the going second cards, just playing a few of them here, we've got the Krakars in the main. This one's especially good because it pairs with the orange light. And then I'm choosing to play the triple tactics talents because, like I said earlier, if you eat one hand trap, you can use the talents to rip out things like imperms, like veilers, like mourners, or anything else, and maybe proving to be problematic as you go through your combo, just to secure the FTK. Not only that, but it's a strong going second card against things like a Rise Heart, or if you're trying to break a board and go for the kill. Talents is almost unrivaled in that situation. This card's stupid powerful, so I think that made the most sense for our hard-going second cards in the main deck for this particular build. Side deck, pretty basic template here, nothing too notable to call out. I'll just say that the Ashes are in here for Branded. I think that goes without saying. We're playing things like Droplets, like Dark Ruler. Volcanic Queen could easily be Lava Golem. It's personal preference, but since we weren't playing the Thrust package, I was like, okay, extra outs to a Rise Heart might be decent. And then the extra deck, very simple stuff here. Just key thing I'll point out is that we do choose to play the Apollosa since we're not playing a secondary win con in the main deck. If you change the build a little bit and do put in a secondary win con, you might want to leverage the slot for something else. All just common knowledge, things to put out there, stay aware of. Don't cut Fuko though. Please play Fuko. It's a pretty good card. Alright, guys. That is it for this brand new Drytron FTK. Again, we don't know when we're going to be getting the Fiend released, but I am sure as heck excited for when we do, because this is going to be a brand new way to play Drytron, so I'm very, very excited to give it a shot. Don't forget to check out the link in the description down below. Get your hands on the Medionis Drytron Field Center. So with all that being said, Logan JYA, sign off. Have a great day. I'll see all you beautiful people later. Peace. Get it.